incredible guest tonight. And Becky is with the Tucson Ghost Society. And if anybody has been listening to me, I speak a lot about the Tucson Ghost Society in all the interviews because Becky came to our house. She came after the Dead Files came here. So it was kind of a long journey into actually meeting Becky. And, you know, first Becky, as you know, I researched you. And
right.
I guess Becky had heard about us previous from the show. So, you know, I'm kind of making a little bit of an intro here, but that's how this began with me and Becky. So, Becky, can you tell us a little bit about your company and what you do, you know, with your life here?
Of course. Well, I started Tucson Ghost Company back in 2013, so it's been about 9 years now. And it actually was something just fell into my lap. I didn't plan on doing this. With doing the tours, I knew that since they were ghost tours, I would get approached a lot about paranormal, you know, problems, paranormal cases. So I reached out to another team here in Tucson and just wanted to get, you know, some general information and just wanted to have someone to basically refer these people to. And they ended up actually taking me into their group and training me. And I guess it was kind of a good thing they did that because they ended up not taking cases anymore. And so that's where I pretty much started my own team and started taking on my own cases.
You want or think about being a paranormal investigator prior to this time and 9 years ago?
I didn't really think about being a business owner or an investigator, to be honest with you. I was very curious about the paranormal because I've had experiences my entire life. And so my curiosity was there, but I didn't realize it would take me on the path that it did.
And did you find that you were receiving a lot more of the paranormal, you know, nudges, or the, you know, they would react with you more than others? Did you say that once to me? I know it's true.
Yeah. I've noticed that the more I researched, the more I got involved, the more it opened me up to the paranormal. I guess I've been sensitive to it my entire life. And the more I got involved, the more I realized that, you know, I definitely seem to attract the spirits. I'm the only one on my team that has issues with anything following me home or being scratched or being marked or anything like that. I'm the only one on my team that usually has that happen to them.
Yeah. How that here especially say your name quite a lot at this house. So when you took over the Tucson Ghost Society, what changes did you make in it to be more of yourself?
Well, the Tucson Ghost Society was always mine. It was another group with another name that I was involved with.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the Tucson Ghost Society is something I completely came up with. That I took the other team's foundations, their thought and process, and I brought it over to what I do, but at the same time, I made it more me, more personal. Like the fact that they were more scientific, I brought that over. I wanted, you know, more scientific because I didn't want something that was going to go off of feelings and no evidence. I wanted to present the evidence, and I feel that that is something that is very important in this field, is to be able to present the evidence. And so I brought that over, but also the fact that, you know, their team was very much into, you know, science-based, let's, you know, do everything by the book, which I understand and I respect, and I do a lot of that. But at the same time, I bring my own personality and my own sensitivity to it. by the fact that I can feel, okay, the activity is going to be in this area tonight. And I think we need to focus in this area tonight because I can feel it and I can sense it. I don't go off of that for the evidence, though. I just know where to set things up because that's where I feel the activity is going to be.
And I like that. So when you did this originally, you started in this, and as your path went along, did you then incorporate the ghost tours that you have? She has ghost tours of Tucson
Right.
in different areas. So did you then incorporate that?
The ghost tours actually came first, but doing this helped me improve my ghost tours because of the fact that once I started investigating, I got to investigate a lot of the places on my tours. And so because of that, I got to put in those personal stories that, we actually experienced ourselves. So a lot of the tour became more personal than something out of the book and, hearsay. So it did help my tours a lot for sure.
I was wondering if you could just kind of share your thoughts on the investigation of this home and property.
Well, I knew about you because of the show Dead Files. Although I don't watch a whole lot of paranormal TV, I will kind of skim through it and watch things here and there. And if anything on Tucson is on, of course, I'm going to tune into that because, well, it's what I do and I want to see what it's about. So I knew about your situation through the Dead Files. And then I know COVID hit during all of that. And after COVID is when you contacted me and the first time that we had went out there. And I will say the first time we went out was more intense. I think we had more, well, I know I came home and I had nightmares. And I know my team members saw things outside, like more like black shadows, things like that. Personally, though, I came home and I had dreams of being thrown across a room after investigating your place. And so that was a little intense, but I'm used to stuff like that. I don't want to say it doesn't faze me, but it doesn't get to me a lot as it used to when I first started. And the second time and third time, and I believe there's been a fourth time, things felt different at your place. And I know that you had gone through some blessings and had the house, blessed and all that stuff. And it definitely felt different. The interaction was definitely friendlier and more exciting. I know the last time we went out, it was really exciting because I always do that, like shave and a haircut knock. And we definitely got the 2 knocks in response. We heard it in the moment. Whenever we hear it in the moment, we get all excited and jump up and down. We also heard like footsteps, and none of us were walking. The last time it wasn't as much voices, but it was like the knocks and the footsteps and things like that. But we've definitely gotten voices. They've said my name. They've said your dog's name. And I didn't know at the time that you had a dog named Eli, so that was really funny to find that out.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the question was, you were talking about, I wish the dogs would stop barking.
Barking, yeah.
I don't know if I did hear that one. I don't think we've had the actual last get together
Right.
evidence, but I believe I remember we did hear that, and so it's like a male's voice says Eli.
Yeah.
Eli is the barker.
Which I found hilarious.
Yes, and so that makes this a different kind of haunt, right?
Yeah, it's intelligent for sure.
So it's intelligent. know what? And I know that when you first came out, I mean, like, if you look at me and you see me and you communicate with me now, it's a different person, isn't it, than the one that was calling you out for help?
Yeah, you were definitely more frightened when we first got out there. Than you seem a lot more relaxed now.
Yeah, and so I remember like reaching out to you. It was like, because, we had the dead files. I mean, we've had 7 years out here, and I know you know the story, but for those of you that are first listening to this, we've had shaman, we've had medicine men, Cherokee medicine men, we've had people from all over the country. Because of my work, I know a lot of people, and they tried to help us. Amy Allen basically said, get out, which we started to put our house up for sale. And then, like Becky says, COVID hit.
Yeah.
So there was no moving. And of course, then we had extra family. So when you actually first came in here, it wasn't just the people on the dead files. We had 5 more people come in, and they moved into the cabin, which I'm in right now. First listen to the evidence, I literally felt sick because we had not done the delivery with Bill Bean at that time, but listening, actually hear those voices, and there wasn't just one. There was
there's a few.
Several, and they were so frightening to me. I guess I was in shock, and then they were communicating together. One voice was playing off the other voice. I haven't actually gone back to listen to any of it because I know I recorded off of you at the time at your place. But to me, it's like that evidence you found was so unexpected and so scary, but yet it was the proof, because Amy Allen can say this and all that, and I can see things, and other people can see things, and we can all say, yes, this is what we have. But when you came in, and you weren't even here that long, and can you explain to people what you heard? Like, were you hearing? Do you hear a lot when you're going about, or is this something that just you pick up after you're going through the evidence? Is it a mix? Can you explain how it works?
Well, a lot of the times we're not hearing things in the moment, unless it's the knocks or the footsteps, and sometimes you don't even hear those in the moment. It's very rare to get those voices in the moment. Sometimes you do, but basically it's all on our recorders. And this is why when we're investigating, it's very important for us to tag every little thing. Because if I'm sitting here and I'm moving in my chair or something, we need to tag it if it's making a noise. Because later, we're not listening to the evidence for a day or two later. We're not going to remember if we moved, if we were walking, whatever. So we put our EVPs, the electric voice, recordings, into a program. And we're listening for anything out of the ordinary. So we're going through, we're listening to ourselves talk, we're listening to ourselves, announce, we're moving, whatever. And then you get that little voice that comes in that you're like, where did that come from? I don't remember saying that. And I don't remember anyone around me saying that. It doesn't fit. And that's basically what we're looking for, is those voices that don't fit, or those things that are responding to us. But what's funny is we can talk about something 15 minutes prior and we get a response 15 minutes later, like the dog barking situation. I think in the recording, 10, 15 minutes prior to that, I was like, can you please tell the dogs to be quiet so we can have better recordings? And it was 10, 15 minutes later that we get Eli. And so it didn't really fit in. And I was just like, okay, they're just saying a name, until I saw a video of yours on Facebook and you were talking about your dog Eli. And then it was like a click, like, oh my God, 15 minutes earlier, I was asking them to, tell the dogs to be quiet. And then they put out that voice. So even though we catch things, we don't always put 2 and 2 together sometimes until we talk to the client. And then, we're sharing what we heard and what we think it's saying. And then the client goes, oh my God, I had, a cousin named, whatever, or my dog's named Eli. And that's when things start coming together. What we hear, not everyone does hear, though. So sometimes we don't tell the client what we think we're hearing. We let them listen first to see what they think they hear. If they can't make it out, then we suggest this is what we think we're hearing. Or if they're like totally off and freaking out, oh, it's telling me to, die or something. We're like, no, that's not what we think it's saying. We think it's saying this. But it can be interpreted so many different ways. But it's definitely something that's not there to originally begin with. That is usually how we're finding these things.
Interesting. And so when you're outside doing an investigation compared to being in an inside environment, which is what you did here, because let me tell you, the first night they came, it was almost like the dead files had come back, because so much, they had their gear set up in the living room. It was a huge thing with all. I was like, wow, this is incredible. So we were able to, of course, we had to leave and go in different quiet areas and try to keep the animals quiet. But it was really neat. I got to see that part. And then you were here in the cabin, then you were outside at Joe's shop. So I know you were outside in the shop, which is one of the main areas that originally had a lot of activity. How do you work that when you're outside? What's the difference between an outside investigation and an inside investigation?
It's definitely harder being outside because inside, depending on the neighborhood, can be tough too. If you're in a noisy neighborhood, that's going to be tough. But outside is definitely to investigate because you have the wind. You can't control the wind. In a house, you can turn off fans and air conditionings, but outside, you can't tell the wind, stop blowing. That doesn't happen. You also have more animals. You have wolves howling or birds chirping or, things like that. When you go into an investigation, you can ask the, people, can you please, we move this animal so we can have a clear, EVP. It definitely has its challenges being outdoors, and you're definitely hearing, more of, make note on this recording, it's windy, so you're going to hear the wind. Make note on this recorder, there are bugs flying around, because believe it or not, we can pick up the sound of bugs flapping their wings around us too. So it's definitely a lot more announcing into the recorder, and it's definitely harder to, I don't want to say it's harder to really find the voices, but you have to definitely listen more intently because of the fact that there's so much more of a noise level. So you definitely have to listen to it a little bit differently. And luckily, we do have programs that will cut down the noises, but they don't get rid of them entirely. So you still have to just be a little bit more aware when you're doing those outdoor ones. And when you're listening back to them, just be more aware of, okay, the wind was blowing that day, so that little creak might have been, a door blowing with the wind or something.
Right.
So you have to get a little bit more realistic when you're outdoors because of, things like that.
Very hot night, bugs. Tough night.
It's never glamorous being an investigator. If anyone thinks it's glamorous, yeah, think again. I've been in small little attic spaces where I couldn't even sit up straight and surrounded by, cobwebs and, yeah, not fun things.
what you did and what you brought to our life was this evidence that was completely expected but not expected. Like, I make it very clear that I can see spirits. I hear them. My work is based on this whole thing that happened after my accident, and that's when it all occurred. But there were things that I saw that Amy Allen picked up that I was seeing. So that was a confirmation. But there were things that you picked up on the outside of all over, but there was in particular, can you talk about what we picked up outside the area? There was a man talking, like, and he was saying, shh,
he was telling us to be quiet. When we were outside, it wasn't near the workplace, but it was literally, I believe, right outside your door, like at the end of your steps. And we were sitting there and we were talking, and we literally got like a man basically telling us be quiet. And it sounded more older, so more like an elderly man. And it sounded like he was tired of us talking and he didn't want us talking anymore. And he basically shooed us, he was like, be quiet. We get that. It's funny. I mean, we can't hear it at the time, so we're probably aggravating them to death because we can't hear them. We don't know they're telling us to be quiet. But you get them like that. They don't want to talk to you. They know you're there, but they're just tired of listening to you. Just like in real life, people get tired of people and just say, go away. October is insane for me. I always tease that I don't get time to breathe in the month of October. As it stands right now, we're still working out details. I like to be one of those people that are very organized and ahead of schedule. Unfortunately, not everyone in the world is like that. And so we're still working out those final details of dates. I'm hoping to work with about 3 to 4 places in the month of October, but nothing has been set in stone yet. So once I know, it'll definitely be advertised.